I'm also not doing that, by the way.
I was going to ask you, Narc, what are you doing? Are you trying to poke him with your gun?
I'm not doing that. My hand's not even on the controller. Okay, wow. I think I'm going to invoke a 5-minute warning here.
Okay.
So, final thoughts. I mean, should we? Is it worth continuing with this? Really?
I hate to say it, but my vote would be no. And the only thing that could possibly change it is if there was if we were to pick out highlights, if we would actually play this in our own free time in between stuff.
Yeah, I was
find
thinking,
interesting
bits. I will probably
and
plow
string together
through
some
at any rate,
progression in its own thing that we could comment on, rather than trying to play through it bit by bit like we're doing now.
Yeah, but it's becoming difficult to justify not only spending the time playing it and recording it, but then also editing it and uploading it and trying to tell other people that this is something interesting to watch when it's not something interesting to play. Like, if we just wanted to say this is a bad game, don't buy it, you can do that in 10 minutes. You don't need to do that in hours spread out over weeks and months.
I think it's not a very interesting game. There are large parts of it that are boring and necessarily be what you want to.
Yeah, and you could always talk about flaws in any of the other 3 games, but it was never boring.
Oh please,
exactly.
I never went through any of the Mass Effects and say, you know what, I don't want to play this anymore. I wanted to get to the end of all of them. I mean, even Mass Effect 1 with its issues that hadn't been fleshed out. It was a whole different style of gameplay. It was a third perspective, and it didn't have a lot of polish on a lot of the combat areas, and it had an inventory system and an upgrade system that was, incredibly extensive, overly extensive. But as the game progressed, I still wanted to see where the story went. I was still interested in what was happening. I was still interested in acting in this universe and having things interact with me. Here I don't have any of that. And frustratingly so, because I want it. And being the whole new universe aspect of it, you would think of any game that had that kind of potential, this would be the number one factor that would be there. Yeah. Is all of the things that you could potentially do. I think this game is a victim of its own potential. I really, really do. And I think that the fact that a lot of it did not come to fruition is one of the number one disappointing aspects of it. Despite all the glitches and the goofs and whatever else, every game has that. No game is perfect. We get that. But the simple fact is that, for whatever reason, the stack of story and characters and motivations that are here to want us to play is lacking. Whereas the other games all had it. They all gave you a reason for doing this.
I've been working on supercuts of Mass Effect 1 and 2, and I was just kind of playing them back to look at the editing, and I was almost floored how entertaining it was just to not play it and just like watch all the cutscenes and a few battles strung together again. It was very engaging in a way that playing this isn't.
And to be honest, that's the only thing I can think for continuing this, or would be the motivation to continue with this, would be to do that, would be to cherry pick good, big, moving moments that would be visually interesting.
Good job here, too. What's this?
What is that?
I think there are 2 world holes right there.
Texture. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be sand, but it's got the right color on it, but no texture. And this Krogan body is clipping through the floor in a way that I can't figure out whether that's just a bug or whether it's supposed to be some terrible metaphysical tragedy that's befallen him, like some kind of transporter accident. And then, of course, when you angle the camera down a teeny bit, the lighting of the entire scene changes.
That was my number one thing I did want to mention before, is because Narc and I just recently were looking at that video that was leaked from 2014, where the lighting models and the character design and everything
where everything looked better,
superior to what was actually released. And I want to know what happened from A to B. What was the technical reason? I mean, that's a whole other discussion.
How did that happen?
It's not just this. This does not look as good as Mass Effect 3. It doesn't. I'm not even sure it looks as good as 2 in some ways.
Yeah. And yet the world does. When you compare the world environment when you're out there among things, that looks far better than anything that came before it.
I think out of the 3 or 4 years they spent, I think they spent a solid 2 on planet environments. Like first trying to do procedural generation, and then on saying no, we have to massage this. We have to do a lot of this by hand. And then
they were going to do hundreds and thousands.
Now we have to make a game.
And then they did tens, and then they were down to 7. I think they polished off 7 planets or 10 planets or something like that.
It was supposed to be way more than that, and they've cut it down to 7.
I've really got my doubts about procedural generation and its uses. I think its uses are far more limited in scope for the industry as a whole than they would really like to admit. But
I think they're using it wrong, and I think there's a perception out there that with the procedural generation they can say, hey, let's take care of all of these problems by giving it over to what a procedure system that we can do, so we don't have to model things, so we don't have to design all these elements, so we don't have to do all these things we normally would have to do by hand. Right. They're trying to automate it and make it an assembly line type thing where it just churns out stuff on demand.
Right. But you can't have compelling plot on demand. You can't have memorable environments on demand because that's just not how that works.
Or emotional character interaction or environments that look as if they were supposed to logically be there, or dare I say, characters walking around into walls.
Yeah. By the way, are the glyphs like cumulative? Because I think when we started out, I kind of had the idea that like you scan a certain number of glyphs for each site.
Scan the whole 5.
But
so each you've got to scan. I think there's like
3. At least 3
or something like that.
Yeah, except we came here, we scanned 1, and she was like, okay, let's solve this. I'm like, how can you solve it with just 1?
There's different numbers of missing glyphs in each site, so some of them, you've got all of them now, so...
Oh, okay. And what is the override? Oh, okay. Oh, it spent the key. Alright, fine. I wasn't interested in playing Sudoku anyway. Alright, well, anyway, I'm just going to save this now, and I guess we're going to put... much like the franchise itself, we're going to put our Let's Play series on hiatus until I find something interesting. So maybe I will skip ahead, and at some point we'll do an update on any new interesting bugs, glitches, or plot holes we find in Andromeda.
The final mission is quite interesting because a lot of the things that we were sort of saying about Mass Effect 3's ending, how you didn't really get the sort of Bride of the Rohirrim moment or anything like that. You know, they definitely took a lot of that to heart and tried to sort of incorporate lots of basically every single thing that you ever did during the game. They tried to sort of like kind of go, and here is this character, and here is this character. So it's interesting because they do that. They responded, but personally, I didn't feel it worked.
I feel like they had very much of a like, these are the things that worked before, and these are the things we need to work on. And so, as long as we plan to meet that again, then that will be a recipe for success. But trying to fold in new elements, I think, is really the thing that bogged them down and is largely the reason that this did not perform as well as it could have. Because if they had just really stuck to their strengths with the storytelling and the world building and that kind of thing, I think it would have been far off. Which is why I made the remark earlier when I said I wish that they'd taken more of a Bungie approach, because they don't really innovate. They just iterate on ideas that are, implementations that are successful, and they just, polish it to death. But that results typically in a pretty refined product. I think the same thing is true of Blizzard and a couple of other really notable studios. And with the amount of resources at their disposal, I don't know why Bioware didn't try to shoot for the same thing.
Well, maybe we'll get something further down the road.
I hope so.
I will like to thank Jilly and Mal for coming in to stick with us with this series. We so appreciate you coming in and giving us your thoughts and feelings. Thanks again so much. I would like to thank all the fans that have been following Narcogen and I on the rampancy.net continuation of Mass Effect Andromeda. But I think this is going to be shelved for the moment.
It's going to be it for a while, yeah.
If anything in the future that we run into is interesting enough to actually continue on, we will definitely be happy to show it to the fans. I apologize. This is the first time I think we've done in a game series that we have not actually finished the title from soup to nuts. But again, there are so many other places out there that you can actually see that kind of material, and if you're looking for the endings, it has already been done by other viewers, so for us to reinvent the wheel just doesn't seem very logical at this point, considering what time, energy, and effort has to go into it, especially the burden on Narc for a lot of the post-production work. So
I don't mind that, but I feel it's more justifiable when the game is more enjoyable for us to play and the videos are more enjoyable to watch. And right now, this isn't being either of those things.
You can't create genuinely compelling content if you're not genuinely enthused about what you're
exactly.
Like I said, and if we were gonna turn this into more of a thing like let's make fun of a game. But I don't think that's not fun to do for the length of a game, especially a long RPG like this.
That's what the crew is for, which is going to have a sequel, so we might be tearing into that soon. So that'll be fun.
Only when they give it away for free, because that's when we started playing the crew, was when they gave it away for free.
Oh no, we're going to wait for the bargain bin, absolutely. But thanks everyone so much for watching, and we certainly hope that you will tune into our other series. Destiny 2 is actually right around the corner,
Destiny 2
so we'll probably be coming up with beta videos.
I guess now if this comes off the table, then the thing we have to do is we have to polish off Blightfall. We have to put a cap on that series as well.
Yep.
And then Myth 2.
Yes.
And then some more Marathon.
Actually, Myth 2 is almost at the edge. And Marathon, then we have some of the expansion packs. Did you decide which one we're going to tackle next?
Well, we have Rubicon and Eternal, and I think it makes sense to do Rubicon first.
Okay, we wouldn't want the fans to vote?
Otherwise.
Well, listen, tell you what, have somebody leave in the comments below. Which one would you like to see first? Will you want to see Rubicon or the other one?
Any theories about this ship?
So tell us in the comments below if you want to do that or Eternal. So thank you everyone for watching, and we hope to see you all next time.
All right, thanks guys, it's been fun.
Bye.
And where do they come from? This ship suggests they aren't from Heleus.